Hi, everyone. This is a Leadership with Heart podcast, and this is Heather Younger, your host. Employee experience is powered by emotions. Managers and or leaders within organizations get to choose which emotions they unleash from within the people they lead. Leaders, meaning supervisors or above in an organization, drive much of the positive or negative emotions by their actions or inactions, their words, or what they fail to say. When a manager chooses their words and their actions carefully, they exhibit great emotional intelligence. These managers are often thought of as leaders who care, or as I like to call them, leaders with heart. This special brand of leader drives engagement and loyalty simply by being themselves. Are these leaders perfect? Absolutely not. It is in their awareness and sharing of some of their imperfections that we realize their brilliance. In this podcast, I ask you to see yourself in the stories my guests tell about times when they were not the best versions of themselves, but how they used their hearts to guide them to a place of deeper connection with their teams and heightened leadership prowess. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. This is Heather with the Leadership with Heart podcast, and I'm super excited today to have Timbra Yoakum on the phone. She is somebody I've been watching from afar. She and I have had a relationship. We've been from afar on Instagram, interestingly enough. Usually I meet people on LinkedIn, but she has been posting a lot of photos of her. I can see she's a really strong leader individually, self-leading herself. And then I saw some posts of her with her team members in the office and some of the team building she did, and the tone and the tenor of that message. I just loved it. So I just said immediately, I need to have her on the show. So I've been watching her for a while now. I now have her here. So welcome, Timbra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I consider it an honor and a privilege to be able to do this.
Awesome. So where are you right now anyway in your leadership journey?
I'm currently the director of special programs. So I am leading a team of special education evaluators. And in my journey, this right now is a new role for me. I've been in this position for about a year, and this is where my heart is. So in my journey, I'm just trying to perfect this craft.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's great. I think that's the thing when I on the show, I'm always talking about like leadership is a journey and it's not a destination. And we are constantly in the process of trying to get better every day. I'm trying to listen better, trying to slow ourselves down, trying to be more others focused, trying. But see, that's the operative word. We're trying. And that's really the key with anything. Even the stuff we were just talking about was being fit, right? It's about everyday consistency, trying to be better every day and not about perfection. So I appreciate that you say that you're kind of in that place where you're just evolving and trying to be better every day. That's amazing. So how do you think the people that you lead would describe you as a leader? What would you think your leadership style would be described as by the people that you lead?
Well, I think my leadership style would be described as a servant. I have a servant's heart. And so I try to lead by doing everything. I want to do what we would consider the dirty jobs and the hard jobs, all the way up through the difficult and the administrative tasks. And I want them to know that I hope they would say that I lead with my heart as a servant. That goes back to my core values that we are all here to serve each other. And so I try to lead as a servant in serving my team.
Ooh, I love that. See, that's exactly why you're perfect fit. I feel like I'm pretty good at this. I select the right people and I see it immediately and go, oh, that's exactly what it is. That's why it's leadership with heart, right? That's exactly the stuff I'm talking about. The person that has a servant's heart who's always looking to just dig in and do whatever you've got to do for your team. And I'm sure they appreciate that too. I mean, I'm sure they just love you. They'll do anything for you. That's what people don't really understand is that, so the leaders who maybe don't get it, and I'm hoping, I say don't get it, meaning they're slower to understand this process. And I always hope that my message gets to them and not just to the people that already understand the process and that already live that process. But the more that we are that type of leader, the one that leads with the heart, that's a servant leader, then those people then are willing to do more for us, more for our team, more for our organization. So if we're looking to get higher revenues, we're looking to get better customer satisfaction. In your case, maybe it's less student attrition. I don't know what parents as part of a customer. There's also so many different ways that you can look at it, right? And when we are those leaders, people are willing to go over and above. And you're going to get everything you want when you lead that way. And
yes,
that's really the simplicity of it all. If you lead that way, you're going to get way more than you ever get if you don't lead that way, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Where did your drive to lead come from? I'm curious.
Well, I have, it comes from seeing a need and having a passion for kids. And so in my position, I started out as a classroom teacher 15 years ago. And at that time, I saw that we had a population of students with special needs. that we could address better. And so it comes from a passion for wanting to do better for kids. And so I knew that I could serve a certain population as a teacher. And then I went through and I became an assessment person, and I did testing. And that was a way that I could serve. But I think the way my passion for this comes, that I can touch more lives, because I can help create people and systems and processes that impact students and that impact kids. And so for me, my drive for this role and for leadership has been, how can I help the kids and the people that need it most? And where my heart is and where my passion is to help people with disabilities, and to help everyone see that these kiddos, that they need these same opportunities. And so this is my passion, and this is why I am able to lead with my heart, because I feel it. It's a part of me. It's part of the fiber of my being.
I love that. We need people like you in those roles too. And now I'm curious to know if that drive also stems from anything further back. For example, like, did you have a mom who was a teacher? Did you have a dad who was in service? Those types of things, right? Because sometimes we're brought up being kind of in a service household where we do a lot of things with our parents. I'm just curious to know if any of it stems from even further back, from even further than this role.
It does. My mom was a teacher for 35 years, and my dad was a rancher. And so we just all dug in. We worked hard. And so it was just a passion for hard work.
Oh, awesome. Yep. And I knew that. I always know it usually stems from someplace, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's not. What I'm finding, and some of this is going to go in the book, but what I'm finding is there are kind of a handful of reasons why we're driven to lead. And so there's usually a story or stories that are tied to that. And sometimes it's adversity that drives us. Sometimes it's just people that we grew up by people who were led by example. And so then we would just watch them as that example. And then now we grew up to be those people and to decide to lead that way. So this is the interesting part of the work I do, because I just love to be able to dig in a little deeper on that. Okay, so I'm curious to know, this is kind of the toughest part of the show, but it is the most important part, because people that are listening, number one, if they've been listening a while, they look forward to this part of it. And it is when I ask you about a time when you maybe weren't the best version of you weren't the best leader, and you weren't maybe the proudest of yourself. What did that story or that specific example look like? And then what did you do to come out of that specific situation and kind of rise above it and become more enlightened? Not perfect, but more enlightened.
I think a lot of it, for me, it came from when I started this role. And so my role in this organization is unique, because I worked for this school district in a different capacity. And then I took a promotion and went to a different school district. And then at the end of the year, I was asked to interview for this particular position. And I did. I was honored to interview for the position. I didn't feel quite ready for it yet. It was a big step for me from where I was before. I was leading a small team of just assessment personnel. And so I took this role very seriously. And so when I came back to interview and then I got the job, it was hard to come back and work with people that had been my peers, and now I'm their leader. And so I wasn't sure. I didn't know how to handle that at first. And there was a lot of things that when I initially came in, I wanted to change. And I learned that at that time, my superintendent, my boss, kept saying, "You're spinning too fast. And when you spin so quickly, you're flinging everybody else around you. And they can't keep up with your ideas, and they can't keep up with how fast you're spinning." Because I naturally I'm a fast-paced change. I want to make changes. And so I would say the first couple of months were difficult, because I was wanting to make too many changes too quickly. And it came across as finding fault with people that were already working really hard, and they were doing the best that they know. And one of our mottos as a team is, when we know better, we do better. But right now we're doing the best we know to do. And so I think it came across that I was coming back and I had all this new knowledge that I didn't have when I worked here previously. And I think I made people feel defensive about the work that they were doing, and they were working really hard. So I did reach out to some different people that had been in similar roles to help mentor me. Like, what do I do? Where are my priorities as a new leader coming into this organization? And the best advice I got was to build relationships. And my mentor said, your only job for for a while is to build relationships and build trust. And you don't have to change all the systems, and you don't have to change everything all at once. You need to build relationships so people trust your ideas, and then know that you're coming from a place of improvement and not so much a place of finding fault of the work that's already been done. So after a little bit of just working, just spent, like in the words of my boss, spinning too fast, I slowed way down, and I just focused on the human component, the heart component of where my team was and how could I support them emotionally and build trust. And then everything else just falls in place so easily after that. It just slides in, and it's effortless, and nobody feels like they're on the attack. They don't feel like their hard work is being attacked. It's just a new approach to things. So it's not easy to say that, because I do love my team and I care for them. And it does hurt my heart to feel like maybe in the beginning I made them feel like they weren't doing a good job when they really were. And it was with me. I just didn't know how to handle that role coming back. So I think that would have been my biggest struggle.
Oh, wow. That was beautifully done. And I mean, that was really textbook for me. So I just I wanted to start crying right now. That was so good.
Oh.
Because, well, it's so I did an article in Forbes, I don't know, it might've been a year ago or something. And it was literally on that topic of when you're coming in to a new position as a leader, like you did, the first thing you do is build relationships first. So when you said it, I'm like, what? I'm so glad you're here, because this is, again, there aren't many people don't get that. They want to come in and immediately start to puff up. And like you were saying, like you initially started to do, like puff up and be like, okay, I have all these things and I know these things, and I want to show myself and I want to prove my worth and my value in this role. And I'm glad that someone said, slow down. That was good for that mentor of yours, that manager of yours, to say, slow down. And for you then to be smart enough to go search out mentors and other people who are in the similar roles and get that advice and take the advice in. See, to me, that's emotional intelligence. That's adaptability. There are those who may receive that same piece of advice and do not change a thing. Like basically they don't change themselves. They continue to change things around them, and they continue to impact the people and provide a negative experience for those people. So hopefully those who are listening now, any of you who might be going through this definitely, take that to heart. This is the best part of the show is that story in itself. So I am curious to know, what do you do, since you do have, you have direct reports kind of all over the place, inside the district, inside the office. And what do you do to connect with people who look to you as their main leader? What do you do to connect with them on an ongoing basis to kind of keep that relationship live?
I think what I try to do every day with my team that's directly in my office is just start the day off together. Like I want to know, and I know they know that I want to know. I want to know what their kids said last night. I want to know if they won the basketball game. I just want to know about where they are. And so I try to spend the first part of my day, just the first few minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just with a cup of coffee. And I go next door and I just talk to them about where they are. And then as far as the roles, we have 6 different campuses in our school district. And so each of those campuses have 2 to 4 administrators. And then some of them have, maybe 5 or 10 special education teachers on those campuses. And so I try to open up the lines of communication, whether it be through email or if I go to the campus and visit. I don't ever want to be seen as the person in the office that's not down on the ground and is not down with the troops. And so I do try to visit, or I do visit campuses. I visit classrooms, and I talk to them and ask teachers and I ask administrators, what do you need? And I just listen to what they need. I just watch. I try to do a lot less talking and a lot more listening and a lot more observing. I want people to feel comfortable with me. I want them to know that when if I come into a classroom, I'm not there to watch the teacher. I'm there to see their needs, and I'm there to see student needs. And so I hope that they are able to feel comfortable to come to me with problems. I also try to help them be solution oriented. I try to help each person, whether it is a teacher or somebody on my direct assessment staff, to find the leader within them. And so if they come to me with a problem, I want to hear their solutions first before I give them an answer. So just open lines of communication in multiple ways, emails, in-person visits, phone calls, and just spending time. It's just a little bit of time goes such a long way to build those relationships.
So true. And that focus on relationships and spending time is really critical. It's like the number one thing when I talk about carrying leadership, and it is so focused on that. And it's simple. And if you focus just even on those two basic concepts, you'll get so much further. You just will get so much further. And I can hear the heart. I can hear the sincerity, but by which you go about your day when you're talking to people, when you're meeting people. And again, when they know that, because I do remember, I think about like going to I had to do a training for, let's just say it was like the CEO and all of his direct reports. And then I'm like below that, I'm right at that level, like at director level. And I was like, oh, I was so nervous that I was, presenting to all of them. But in the end, like the feedback was very good, but I felt so nervous because it was kind of like you do feel a little bit judged. And so it's good that you said that I go in and I build that relationship so that they know I'm not there to watch them or be like, big mama watching them really, right? Yes. And I'm actually there to support them and to watch them. And so I appreciate that. That's amazing. So I'm curious. So for those who are listening now, and let's say there's some leaders that are either struggling in their leadership, they're at crossroads in their leadership, or they just need a little extra motivation, some just good tips to get through this next week, especially given what's happening now with the coronavirus and
yes,
the nuttiness that's happening. We might as well just at least mention that right here. What words of wisdom would you leave the leaders who right now are faced with huge amounts of challenges and obstacles with this kind of new normal environment where a lot of their people might not even be near them, and so they can't necessarily go sit with them to spend time? What might be some words of wisdom or pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave them with?
I think what is working for me in my organization is consistency. And we show up as leaders, we show up and we do the hard things, and we do that consistently. And our teams will see us, and they will see that we're not paying lip service to what we're asking them to do. We're showing up, we're doing the hard things. Another thing is just admitting that it's tough. It's tough right now. Everybody that I talk to, every leader that I'm in contact with through COVID-19, it's hard. And so when I come to my team, we have, we're doing Zoom calls together. We do Facebook Live. I come to them every day and I'm like, guys, it was hard today, but we're going to flip that script and we're going to find the blessings and we're going to find the things that are what we're doing right. Even if it's just, we just keep showing up. We just keep showing up and we're consistently showing up and we're being positive and we're just leading with our heart, but we're open and we're not acting like there's not a struggle. And I think that was something I learned in the beginning, that I didn't have to always act like there wasn't a struggle. Because right now I get a lot of questions and I say, I hear that and I don't know the answer right now, but I'll find out because this is different. There's, we're going one step at a time. And so through these tough times, I think as leaders, we just show up, we do the hard stuff, we do it with a good attitude, and we admit and we face the fact that it's tough right now, but we're going to dig in and we're going to get it done.
I love that. And I think that is the kind of strength, kind of the balance between strength and transparency and kind of authenticity that they need. I think going one way or another to extreme is just the wrong way to do it, right? It's just, so for those who are listening right now, if you are in that leadership capacity and we're right all in the middle of COVID-19 and the craziness that's happening, just know that you don't have to be, Superwoman or Superman in this regard. You can show, you do need to show some strength so that they can help get through strength, kind of mental strength. But at the same time, you also need to show them that you are impacted by it as well. And so there's that level of vulnerability that does have to enter into this. And here's the thing, and I'll say it every day, all the time. And it is right now is the time for leaders to really show up. And what we do right now as leaders is the thing that actually impacts us a year or two from now with our team. And so whether they decide to stay with you or not is actually right now is the proof is in the pudding. So they're going to be watching you. They're going to see how you respond. They're going to see how you support them. And when they see that will determine when this blows over and our new normal forms and maybe more opportunities open up for them, they'll decide whether they stay or go because of how you were right now in this moment. So just take this opportunity to be in the moment, to be your best self, but also to know that you're human. So this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being on. I mean, I know it was kind of like abrupt, but this is amazing. I feel blessed to have had you on here, and hopefully those who are listening will also do that. Now, if you are listening and you did receive a lot of value, and listening to us, this conversation, please do share it on wherever. Share it all over the place with everybody. And also don't forget to also write a review, either on Apple Podcast or wherever you might listen. When you write that review, it helps other people find it. Because as you know, there's lots of other leadership podcasts. And this one is a little bit unique, I think. And so as a result, we need to have more reviews to get more people's eyes on it. So thanks for joining. And thank you so much for being on the show too, Timbra. It's been amazing, really.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for joining the Leadership with Heart podcast, everybody. Have a great one. Thank you for listening to the Leadership with Heart podcast. You can grab the show notes by visiting customerfanatics.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter.